Shabbat shalom, everyone. Thursday morning, while the sun was beginning to set in Kyiv, after a day of relentless airstrikes, missile strikes, naval strikes, and ground combat, a news outlet put up an infographic on their social media entitled, "Here's How You Might Be Affected by Russia's Invasion of Ukraine." The post listed 4 areas of concern, and I'm going to quote them. 1, rising energy prices. Russia is a major exporter of oil and natural gas, especially to Europe. Russia could choose to cut off or limit oil and gas exports. Pipelines could also be impacted by the armed conflict. End quote. Number 2, multiple other industries could suffer. Quote, Ukrainian economic output and industry will likely be significantly disrupted. It's a major source of neon and fertilizer. U.S. officials have warned various sectors to brace for supply chain disruptions. End quote. 3, quote, a massive refugee crisis. 1 million to 5 million refugees could flee Ukraine as a result of the invasion. At the largest scale, a refugee crisis would not be contained to Europe. The U.S. would likely see refugees seeking asylum too. Number 4, Russia responding to sanctions. Various federal agencies have warned of possible cyber attacks on targets like banks and power grid operators. Experts are also worried about Russian influence campaigns aimed at sowing U.S. discord. That's the list. That is the list of how you might be affected by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Energy prices, supply chain disruptions, an influx of refugees, and cyber and propaganda attacks. When Putin, Yimach Shemo, spoke on Tuesday night, I had tears in my eyes. When he pushed through eastern Ukraine and began a full-scale invasion, I was heartbroken. But when I read through that post from this news source on Thursday morning, I almost fell apart entirely. Tellingly missing from the list of here's how you might be affected by Russia's invasion of Ukraine were the following bullet points. 1, you are going to see dead children in the streets. 2, you are going to witness war crimes, including targeted political assassinations and the singling out of ethnic, religious, and social minorities. 3, you are going to watch a country beg for help from the world, and you will see the world issue sanctions. The past week has been a dark one, a frightening one, a tragically sad one. And it's sad on multiple fronts because in the East, a country is losing its sovereignty, its independence, and countless innocent lives. And in the West, we are losing the bare minimums of human compassion and empathy. I'm a rabbi, I'm not a politician. I don't know how to force diplomacy or create ceasefires, but I do know after a week of headlines of me in our country, while the second largest country in Europe is being invaded like Poland in 1939, and after a week of headlines in our own country of trans children and their families being hunted in Texas like animals, that what we are in desperate need of right now in this moment is not just a preparation for financial hardship, but a moral reckoning of what it means to be a human being in this world. We're not just losing our minds, we're losing our hearts. We're losing our sense of responsibility for one another, and in Judaism, what that means is we're losing our Torah. In the wake of Kalivo, Rabbi Starr has repeatedly said from the Bima that he is angry. And I get that. I've been angry. Right now, I wish I were angry. I'm not angry. I'm exhausted and I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed that in the week following our reading of the Egel HaZahav, of the golden calf, that we cannot see that the golden calf remains, but it has taken the form of our self-interests. What do we worship? Our wallets, our political colors, our self-perceived victimization. This is where I'm supposed to say that this isn't who we are. But you know what? It is. This is who we've become. So scared and angry and mistrusting that we retreat into tribal mentality of everyone is out to get us, and so we better get out and get them first. Culture wars and propaganda are turning us into walking talking points rather than walking neighbors, community members, and citizens. This is who we've become. But it's not who we need to remain. Listen, I know that we're exhausted. I know that we're frustrated, and I know that we're sad, and that we've put up with so much through COVID over these last 2 years, through partisan fighting, through an economic and emotional roller coaster. We have. And we're allowed to say that. We're allowed to say that we're tired. We're allowed to break, and we're allowed to cry, and we're allowed to scream and let all of that out. In fact, we should. That would be healthy. That is what we should be doing. Nobody should have to be kept away from community, from family, from their grandchildren. Nobody, especially Midwesterners, should be told not to hug or kiss. That is antithetical to who we are. Nobody should have to try to read facial expressions and smiles through KN95s. It's not fair. And we're allowed to be upset. And you know what? We're allowed to hate this. We're allowed to hate what we have to do right now. That's okay. But we cannot forget that our purpose in this world is based on the needs, the hopes, and the dreams of others. Without a you, we can never truly be an I. Without a you, we can only see distortions and refractions, conspiracy and paranoia. We cannot survive without a sense of obligation and responsibility, not to who we pick and choose, but to those who are in need, the weak, the poor, the suffering, the marginalized, the outcast, the lonely. When we lift up those who are knocked down, it doesn't just make us feel good. It's a somber reminder that in a blink of an eye, we too can be the ones crying out for help, for support, for love, for a small act of kindness. And the only way we can move through this life with meaning is if we have faith. Not just in God, not just in our tradition, but faith in one another. It's Shabbat. I know it's Shabbat. And I'm sorry if my words this morning don't reflect the joy, the lightness, the love of this holy day. But to be completely honest, I think we need a booster. Not a Moderna or Pfizer booster. I think we're in need of a humanity booster. I think we're in need of a love booster. I'm including myself in this. We need a booster. And so I need to say something this morning, and I'm going to say it even though I know some of you think it's corny and some of you it makes you uncomfortable. I apologize, but I need to say this as a reminder. I love you. I love who you are and what you bring to this world. I love that you are part of my family. I love that you are part of this congregational family. I care about you. And I will continue to care about you no matter if we sometimes disagree, no matter if you get angry with me, with this world, with God, or with yourself. You matter. You are created in the image of the divine, and that makes you holy. That makes your life sacred. That makes all life sacred. Ukrainian life, trans life, human life. Here's how you might be affected by the craziness in the world around us. This is my revisionist list. You might get angry. You might get sad. You might get frustrated. You might lose hope. You might feel like you are completely alone. You aren't.